Welcome back to my training. Today we're going to be looking at creating stairs with Mesh. So we've got a very simple single element here, which is our stair element. Very simple, based on the one in the gallery. And we're replicating that using an instancer. And what we also have, in addition to a curve, which is driving everything. So we select our curve itself. Here. I don't know why it's not letting me select that. There we go, control vertex. If you edit the curve, you can see here, it updates. And the other thing we've added is we've added a measurement for the length of the curve. So if I extend it, however long I get, it's going to keep adding the necessary repeats, which is very cool. So no matter how long this gets, we're always going to have roughly the right amount of stairs. So how does that work? Well, it's a mixture of things. We need to create a measurement that creates a measurement for the length of the curve, and then we create from this value. We have to find how to get this number, and once we get that number, we'll pipe that into the replicator. So let's walk you through the whole series of steps. So I'm going to delete everything except for my lofted surface, which is our step. I'll call it stairs or stair. Make a good idea. Call it stair. All right. Now the stair has got some creasing. So that's why we're using an instancer. So let's do this first. So first things first, we need to create our curve. So let's turn on our grid, flip from the side, and let's create our curve. It doesn't matter what curve tool you use. I like the CV tool. I'm going to create one which is cubic. I want to be a little bit bendy. We can make it straighter as well. On down X to create a couple of points. You'll need 3 points to create the first straight line, or 4 points I should say, and then you can then break it and have a nice little arc. And we'll do another 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's not the best curve, so we'll get that kink. That one could come out a bit more. There we go. Alright, so it's a very simple sort of shape, and now we're going to connect these two together. So here we go. So first you select your object you wish to make into a stair. And we'll create the option box here. I'll go edit reset. So we want the instancer to be selected, so we maintain the creasing. If it was mesh, then the creasing would be removed. You'd probably not want to do a crease per step. You can always convert the instancer to individual objects if that's what's needed later. Okay, so let's get this started. So here we go. Instance fine. So I'll put apply and close that. It creates a distribute node by default, so we only need one of those, and then we need to go to our mesh node, and we're going to create a replicator, add that in there. So this is going to do the work. You see that's going to repeat them, and this is obviously the spacing between them, but we're not going to use, obviously we don't want to go in a straight line, we want to use a curve. So if you scroll down, there is a section down here called curve. It's expecting a curve geometry placed in there. Where we do that is we select our curve here, we drag it, middle drag it to the curve here, and so that's going to create our replicants. So if I just turn channels off, so this is what you'd normally see, and I've got the shapes turned on as well, so you might even see this. But what we need to do is we need to get under the hood. So the first thing we need is shapes, so we can see what's going on under here. And what we want to do now is we want to see you can increase the number. But how do we drive this number? Obviously this is the value going to change by the length of the curve. Well, we measure the curve, so let's do that. So we select, so we want a tool for that, so we want to go create curve tools, not the curve tools, sorry, measurement tools. Then you can do distance from point to point. You can do parameter length, but I'm interested in this arc length. So this is, it basically means we can measure any edge or curve length. So we click on the beginning we want to start on, and then click and we'll drag it to the end of the end, and that gives us a value here. So that's great. And if we flick open the curve, you can see the two aspects of that, right? It says it's parameter 9, but that's just where it is on the position of the curve. You can change the position by dragging that around, but we want 9. 9's good. So we want that value. Now if I change the curve length, you can see the value increases, but obviously nothing's happening to our stairs, because we haven't connected this value. So the first trick is to extract that value. So it's not immediately obvious where it is, right? You can't see it in any of the values here. So where is it? Well, it's actually a channel on here somewhere, so we have to display that here. So under display, go to attributes channels. That will reveal a whole raft of things underneath our arc. You see here by flicking it down into the shape of the object, and now we're getting all of the values. So see all these parameter values and things and cache and visibilities, they're listed here. Okay, towards the bottom, there's the value we want, the arc length. Now we need to find what that's called in its full value, so it's going to be a combination of the object name and then the attribute name. To see that, we'll bring up the channel box. I'll go clear the top, and so if I select it here, clicking on it, it actually says this is the command to make the selection. So, but that is what we're selecting. So you see there, it has the first part is the name of the object. The dot is obviously now it's like an attribute, and that's the attribute. So that's what we'd want. So we want the whole of that for the expression. That's effectively the part one of the connection. So connections in Maya are done with names, and that's how it works. So we'll copy that into the pasteboard. Well, we don't need to see our set, sorry, not set members. We don't need to see our channels anymore. We can hide those. We go back into our mesh network, and we go to the replicator. Excuse me. We want to create an expression here, so let's do that. So right click on here, create expression, and that brings up the little scripting window. We'll paste in our driving number, our driving value, or attribute I should say, and we'll copy and paste the thing that's going to be driven. So mash to replicator replicants equals the length value of the measurement tool. Now we don't want 249 steps, but I know roughly to the power of 2 seems to work for the scene. So if I multiply that, sorry, power of 10. So if I multiply that by 0.1, it will reduce that to roughly 24 steps or 25 steps. Maya will do the rounding for us. So if I hit apply, you see there it's jumped to 25. Now if I select our curve, in fact actually, so if I select mesh, I'll show you a little trick. So we got this. We want to keep this up. We can copy tab, and copy tab will make a floating window of this. So we can use that as a way of observing our script working. So we see it's on 25. Now if I select the control point, this has changed, but this is held up, which is useful. Now if I drag this, look what happens to the number. No matter how long I make this, the number of steps are maintained. So very, very cool little trick. So there we go. So that's, and you can obviously modify the shape of your stairs based on what you need. The replicant does have other values you can play with, so you can play around with, and that's obviously curve. We can play around with rotation as well over time. Sorry, excuse me. And then you can, so if you enter in a rotation, so we say 90, that could be modified again by this ramp here. So we can have 90 in the middle, or make that minus 90, so it curls around. So we're effectively creating our steps. So we know that we want to be straight to most of it, and then it comes around the corner, and we want to be straight again at the other end. And you can see there how we can use this little ramp. And if it's too fiddly, click this and you make a bigger version. You can even scale it for the whole of your window, and you can get these values exactly where you want them to be. It really depends on what you need. But I just thought I'd show you that little kind of little addition there, so you can see how you can use it for it to go around corners, which is in this case would be useful if that was what was needed or was part of your design. Okay. Like I said, there's lots of other controls inside the replicator. We've used it for other things, but you can see here it's also very useful for creating a transitions there. So we go up and around the corner. Cool.